Premier League, done. Bundesliga, decided. Liga, finished. La Liga, well, not finished yet, and there's always time for a surprise, but it's looking like Barcelona will get it done. The Serie A, well, we'll get to that one, as it's not quite decided yet. As you know by now, we'll be looking at the tightest title races across Europe in this video, because there's more than just the top 5 leagues in the world of football, you know? By the way, my name is Adrian, and this is Rabona TV. If you're a football fan that likes staying up to date in football news, likes a little football discussion, match watch-alongs, player bios, explainers, and more, then consider hitting that subscribe button at any time during this video, if you find you're enjoying yourself. And you'll forever have my gratitude. Okay. Enough of this, let's go. We'll start in Portugal, where the title deciding match could have happened this past weekend, as FC Porto went away to the Estádio da Luz to take on Benfica, the team that they were just 1 point behind in the standings. It was a fairly even match throughout, but in the end, a great strike from substitute Hector Herrera in the 90th minute all but sealed it for Porto on the day, and potentially in the title race, as they hopped over Benfica with a 2-point lead. Sporting, on the other hand, almost fell out of the race a little bit as they played against the other Lisbon side, Belenenses, in a crazy match that saw Belenenses get 2 red cards, and an 80th minute penalty by Sporting star Bruno Fernandes sealed the win. Had they lost, they would have been 6 points behind second place Benfica alongside Braga on 68 points each. Sporting and Benfica are still yet to meet up, and if Benfica had defeated Porto this past weekend to go 4 points clear, they would have had the opportunity to lift the Primeira Liga trophy at the Alvalade. Would have been nice to see a league title be won at the Alvalade for once. Ooh. Sorry, Sporting fans. Because I love. It's going to be a hectic end to this season if Porto fail to win with their somewhat tricky trip away to Marítimo, the team in 6th place that loves to cause an upset, especially at home, and if Benfica go to the Alvalade and fail to perform and get beaten by Sporting, and we assume that each of the top 4 win all of their other games up to that point, we could have the title decided on the final day of the season. The last time that happened was back in 2007. Even if that scenario doesn't play out, then it's still tight. To recap, Braga is just 3 points behind Sporting with 68, and Sporting's just 3 points behind Benfica on 71, and Benfica just 2 behind Porto with 74 and 76 respectively. Damn. As it stands now, Benfica and Porto are equal on goal difference. That's how even it's been throughout this season. Besides the 2 points separating them, of course. Okay, Turkey, and this is the #1 closest league title race in Europe right now, with any of the top 4 still within a shot of winning the title with 5 match days remaining. All 4 teams are just separated by 3 points, but by the way, the gap between 4th and 5th? 11 points. So here's what's up. This past weekend, the league leaders at the time, Istanbul Başakşehir, went away to the 2nd placed Galatasaray, who is of course managed by legendary Turkish manager Fatih Terim. It was a pretty intense match, but ultimately Gala were the deserved winners with a 2-0 win. So they leapfrogged over Başakşehir and grabbed onto the 1st place with 60 points to Başakşehir's 59. Besiktas, on the other hand, had an easy 3-0 win over Akhisarspor, so they jumped up into 3rd on goal difference, as they also have 59 points. Now the 4th place team, Fenerbahce, got a tidy win away to Sivasspor, which ensured that they stayed within touching distance of the top 3 teams with 57 points. Oh man. So none of these teams are on a collision course with each other until Galatasaray and Besiktas face off on April 29th. So that will be intense, as if the matchup isn't intense enough already. But that's about it for the big matchups between the top 4 towards the end of the season. So they all have to get it done against some of the lower teams. Just to recap, with 5 matches remaining, Gala is in the lead with 60 points, Başakşehir is in 2nd with 59 points, Besiktas in 3rd, also on 59, and Fener in 4th with 57. It's going to be a wild ride in Turkey. And now, Poland. And they have a very interesting way of doing things. I found it interesting, at least, but in doing this video, I realized that there are other leagues that have this same format. So, the team at the top after 30 matches isn't the champion, but the top 8 go into their own Champions League, for lack of a better term, where they only play the other teams within the top 8. The points that they earn in this mini league count towards their point total from the first 30 matches of the season, where they were playing against all of the other teams. And the team with the most points at the end of it all is crowned as the Ekstraklasa champion. Lech Poznan currently has a 1-point lead over both Legia Warsaw and Jagiellonia Białystok. But all three of these teams lost their matches this past weekend. So that translates to Lech on 55 points, Jaga on 54, and Legia on 54 as well. But with those losses, Wisła Plock and Górnik are starting to make a little ground as they have 50 points apiece. There are 6 matches remaining, and amazingly, on the final match day, Lech goes up against Legia Warsaw in what could be one of the most epic title deciders this season. The weekend before that, Legia takes on Górnik, but I mean, with such a tight race between the top 3 for sure, and hell, maybe even the top 5 depending on the last few match days, this is going to be an amazing race to the title. It seems like a bit of a strange way of doing things, but I kind of like it, you know? You see how you stack up against the best of the best at the end of the season. Not saying I would want to see it implemented in other leagues necessarily, but it's certainly interesting. So just a reminder of the current standings. Lech is in first with 55 points, followed by Jaga and Legia with 54 points in second and third respectively, and then Wisła Plock and Górnik in fourth and fifth with 50 points each. Oh, and speaking of one of those other leagues that uses that similar format to the Ekstraklasa, next up is Denmark, and they have a similar structure to Poland, as I just said, in that 14 teams within the league all play a regular season consisting of 26 matches. The top 6 from the initial part of the season go into a championship playoff group, in which all of their goals and points from their initial 26 matches still count towards the championship playoff. The team who is in first after playing each team home and away, so 10 matches total, wins the league title. So, what are we looking at here? In the initial part of the season, Brøndby and FC Midtjylland pulled away from the rest of the pack by a full 10 points, as they were tied at the top with 60 points apiece. Now, in the second phase, the championship playoff phase, Brøndby and Midtjylland have continued their dominance, going 3 for 3 so far with 7 matches remaining. If math is not your forte, that means that they are on 69 points apiece, as they have really started to pull away from the chasing pack now with a 16-point lead. But oh baby, who's going to drop points first? Brøndby incredibly are unbeaten in their last 23 matches, so they are certainly worthy leaders at the top. And these two teams play each other today, or maybe they've played each other by the time this video is published, so don't sleep on this one, man. It's crazy tight up there. Okay, to sum it up, / remind you, Brøndby is in first with 69 points, Midtjylland is in second, also on 69 points, and their closest rival is Nordsjælland with just 53 points. And here's a bit of a bonus league that I'll just mention quickly, the Serie A, a league that has become boring not because of the style of play, but due to the dominance of Juventus. I mean, they've won it a record 6 times in a row now. For a while this season, it was looking as if Napoli was going to break that streak, but alas, they began to stumble, and since losing 4-2 at home to Roma at the beginning of March, they have only won 2 of their last 5 matches. Granted, the other 3 matches were draws. Juve currently has a 6-point lead over the Naples side, and with all of that skill and, perhaps most importantly, championship winning experience in their side, it's hard to see anyone but them winning the title. Well, with 6 matches to go, let's look at the fixtures of each team. The biggest matchup is, of course, Juve hosting Napoli on the 22nd of April. Other than that, Napoli has the easier end to their season, with the most notable difficult matches being a trip away to Fiorentina and of course away to Sampdoria as well. Juve, on the other hand, still has to play Inter and Roma away, so despite the 6-point lead for Juve, this league isn't done and dusted just yet. Let's say Napoli grabs a win away against Juve. Difficult to do, of course, but not impossible. That cuts it down to 3 points, with Juve still having to go away to Roma and Inter. Not easy, especially with the pressure on them from Napoli. So it's going to be a great end to the Serie A as well. Anyways guys, that just about does it as far as the really close title races that I will be keeping my eye on as the season winds down. Title races that I thought maybe you'd want to be aware of. Thank you so much for watching, drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you tomorrow for some Champions League preview action. Peace.